Hi Jane, this is Lily and Tony, your fairy godparents, coming to you with a special recipe video of Lee Accardi's meatballs. So I'm going to put this together for you, and the one thing I wanted to tell you about the recipe is that because you mix everything with your hands, everything has to be ready to go in a way that you can deal with it, because once you mix with your hands, you're going to roll all the meatballs at once. So here we go. So we now have 1 pound of ground beef, 2 approximately slices of sourdough bread from Clinger's with warm water thrown over it so it gets all mushy, 2 eggs, salt and pepper, Parmesan cheese, basil, and olive oil. And here is some lovely garlic. This is 1 clove of garlic chopped, and that's going right into the meat mixture here. And then we have some salt. You can put in as much as you and your family likes. Here goes the pepper. We're going to scramble up the eggs a little bit before we put them in, just because it makes it easier to mix later on. And these are eggs from Kate and Hank. Right down the road, you know Kate and Hank. One was blue. Whatever kind of chickens make blue eggs. Then we have the Parmesan cheese, which I do about a half a cup, so I'm going to show you the amount I'm putting in to the little grindery thing. Okay, I might not use every bit of it, but I'm going to get close. Save that a little bit and see what we think later on. Alright, now this was the bread soaked with water. There's no water left in here, but now what we're going to do is kind of squeeze all the water back into the bowl that's still in the bread. So this is probably a good part that James could do. Maybe in smaller amounts than I'm doing right now, but so, all right, so there's some mushy bread. Here's some more mushy bread. And we're going to cut in a second because this process takes a little while and I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing. So you can see there's a whole bunch of water left over. And now what you do is take this bread and you just kind of shred it as finely as you can and crumble it into the meat mixture. And this, like I said, this is sourdough bread. I've used regular bread. Anything, if you had old cornbread, it doesn't really matter. You're just putting in some, and here you go. And that's the last of the bread. All right, now we have the basil. Just finished chopping this, 2 more chops. This is instead of parsley, which we don't have. And since we're not going to the store today in the blizzard, there we go. All right, all the ingredients are in. We have our prepared pan, a piece of parchment, and this isn't for baking. This is just to get it rolled out at once so you don't have to wash your hands and stop a million times. Everything is in the bowl. My hands are super clean. No jewelry, nothing. Here we go. I'm going to mix this with my hands and start rolling the meatballs. So I squinch around with my fingers and then I stick my hands under and kind of flip it over. Just my method. And it only takes a minute or 2. It's mostly about incorporating the bread evenly. Everything else is fine. It's just you want everything to have an even mixture of bread and meatball and meat. All right. And then we're just going to roll. So I'm not going to stop and wash my hands now. I'm just going to roll every single meatball right now and put them onto the mat. So here's my hand. Here's an approximate. I just find a good amount that feels like the right amount in my hand so that I can recognize it. And then the most important thing is to make them all the same size. So your hands kind of naturally do the job. And after you start rolling, you can feel, oh, it's a tiny bit too big. I'll take a little bit out. It's a tiny bit too small. I will add some meat to the meatball. All right, so here we have 7 times 4, 28, 29 meatballs. And the next thing I'm going to do is wash my hands, and then we're going to put some oil in the pan and brown them up. Rolling the meatballs. In the meantime, we have heated up 2 jars of Bo's spicy marinara sauce. So it's got a nice little warming plate under there so it doesn't get scorched. Leaving that there. We have preheated our skillet and we are ready to saute the meatballs. So today I'm using actually vegetable oil because it tolerates a little higher heat than olive oil, but you can use olive oil too, which is what I originally took out. That's about a tablespoon. All right, so we're all set, and now about half the meatballs go in at a time. So we gently put these in this medium hot skillet, and every minute or two they can be turned gently side to side until they're browned all the way. One more, I think. There we go. Okay. So we'll let them saute for a minute or two, and then we'll turn them. We'll show you in a minute, and you'll see them brown right up. And then we'll add them back into the sauce. Once this set is brown, they go right in. The next set gets cooked, and then those are added into the sauce. The first turn, which really was maybe 90 seconds from when I started, and you can see you just kind of have to gently flip them over with your tongs. It's not a perfect science, but in 2 or 3 more minutes with another flip or so, they will be, see, look, you just don't worry if they start to go crazy. Just work with it and get it flipped over. And then one more probably pretty good flip, and we'll be cooked, and we'll put them in the sauce. So some of the meatballs are looking done, so here's what we do. Open up the sauce, give it a little stir, and then this is where you have to kind of do a pressure test on the meatballs. And you can feel that some of them don't give, you know, they're nice and stiff, which is what we want, so we're going to take those out and throw them in the sauce. But the mushier ones we're leaving in here for now, but some of these are done. And we don't want to overcook them because they're going into another hot medium. So these will just saute for about 30 or 60 more seconds, and then they'll all be ready to go. And sometimes you can go like this kind of, and also you can add a little cracked pepper. If you like a lot of pepper, this is a great step to add some pepper. So the second set of meatballs is done, so we're just transferring them over into the sauce. And in a minute, we're going to make some meatball subs. Here we go. All right. So here are the meatballs in the sauce. They cooked for probably 20 minutes maybe after we put it all together. And then I just turned it off and they've just been sitting here. So they're warm and hot, but not really, really hot. And I'm going to prepare the rolls now for the sandwiches. So these are hoagie rolls. And you do a diagonal cut on each side and make a V shape into the bread. Then I like to put some sauce in the very bottom. Just because you really want the bread really moist with sauce. Then add some provolone. Then we're going to add the meatballs and the sauce. And sometimes we kind of chop them up on the way in too, but I'm just going to show you the presentation. And then that little bit of leftover Parmesan. Oh, that's a lovely amount of Parmesan. And then the chop goes back in. We will garnish it with some lovely basil, and there you have meatball sub. If you like wine, you might enjoy a lovely red wine with this delicious American Italian meal. Cheers!